Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the daily live extra, and it looks like Luca Digne is finally heading out of Everton. Apparently, his personal terms have been agreed with Aston Villa in the range of £160,000 a week, which is a lot more than he's earning at Everton.
Bit more.
Deal looking to be around 25 million. And if it's a 4-year deal, which has been muted, that's a £60 million or around £60 million package. If we did that, just being devil's advocate, people would be losing their mind on the situation. I seen quite a lot of hysteria yesterday surrounding the fact that he was going to Aston Villa. But I'm not sure where people thought he was going to go, because Chelsea have always wanted a loan. They played a kid at left back on Saturday who I report was brilliant. And, you don't want to block the path of someone like that. And then it was the likes of West Ham, the likes of Newcastle, the likes of Villa. Nobody abroad can pay the money. They can't pay the wages, never mind pay the fee. So for Everton to get rid of him, it always was going to be a case of somebody in and around us, whether it be a Newcastle, which obviously he doesn't want to go to Newcastle, or somebody in and around us, and it looks like it's going to be Villa.
Yeah, I've got no issue with it. It's what it is. He's going. It's obvious he's been leaving the club the minute Everton bought Michalenko. Given, if Everton were buying Michalenko 3 years ago when there wasn't such big issues with FFP, you'd be saying, brilliant, that squad getting better, we're going to use them. But we know our FFP situation, so the minute Everton bought him, Digne was out the door, end of story. And you're right, there's nowhere for him to go. Inter Milan wanted him, but don't want to pay the money haven't got the money to pay for him, or don't want to pay the money for him, and don't want to give him 160 grand a week. He's on well over 100 grand a week as it is at Everton, so he's on big money here anyway. And Villa have increased that by 30, 40, 50, 40 odd grand a week or whatever extra. So he's 29 this summer. If they obviously think that Aston Villa have got a decent squad. They're trying to get a better team together. Gerrard's done all right. They haven't got a left back really of any note. So for them, it's short term, isn't it, for them to try to keep momentum going. They've got to play. I don't believe in a norm. Well, it wouldn't happen. If all things were equal and Digne was happy at Everton, he wouldn't even consider going to Aston Villa. The minute is once you're desperate to get out of a club and someone wants to offer you big, big money, you're going to go. Villa are a good club. Got a good young manager, got money. So why not? For him, why not? For Everton, you just want to get the deal done quickly and get the money in. There's not. You never like losing good players, of course you don't, but this, to me, it isn't as if he's in our team, we're going along quite nice or whatever, we're just bobbing along and he's happy, and Villa have come in, he's going to want to go. That's worse, because then you're like, why are you leaving us? But we all know he's going. Villa have just seized on an opportunity that wouldn't have been there normally. They just looked and gone, well, he's available, he's good, he's got a lovely left foot, we'll use him.
Yeah, and listen, you're right, it's been going on for over a month now. Been going on, since the beginning of December. So it shouldn't be a shock, and it shouldn't really be a shock to who we're selling him for. He's gonna for Digne. I mean, Digne. I think Digne just wants to play in the World Cup. I think we all know that. For me, whatever's happened has happened. I think he's the kind of player he just wants, the kind of person he just wants to be happy. I think he's been at the big clubs where he's second fiddle. Missed, as we've said a few times, missed out on that last World Cup. Whereas if he'd just been playing at an Everton or an Aston Villa, he would have been in that World Cup squad. I don't think there's any where this place in the squad. Sorry, the France squad. There doesn't seem to be an issue of the fact that he doesn't play Champions League football. His quality's there, and Deschamps likes him, but probably said to him, you need to be playing if you want to be considered. He's the left back position's strange for fans because sometimes they play three at the back, and it depends depends who they're playing sometimes of who gets picked. You know, he's not the first choice, but it doesn't mean he's the second choice. It sometimes comes down to tactics,
Who's
whether he
playing,
plays,
yeah.
but he has to be playing football. And I think the minute his place was under threat at Everton, he had to make a decision. Rafa Benitez made the decision for him, I imagine. But he just wants to play, doesn't he? And going to Aston Villa at 28, 29 starting next season, for him, he probably doesn't even have to move. Do the old Unsworth route down to Villa. And it is what it is. And as you know, in terms of like, he's 29 next season. 29 next season. You know, as I said, if we'd done this deal, people would be looking at us thinking we were mad. We've brought in a 22-year-old who I thought had a competent debut after a little bit of a shaky start. Grew into the game on Saturday, especially that second half when he was on a booking for the entire game and was just like, I can't really touch anybody. And it'll take a little bit of time because don't forget, by the time when we got Luca Digne, he'd played for PSG, Barcelona, Roma, Champions League football. Was what, 25?
24, 25.
He was,
25.
you know, he was around the finished article when we got him. This lad's got a lot to grow into, and and good players before him at left back. You know, this lad's got to live up to Gary Naismith. You know,
I mean, that's the one.
He's got to live up to that. Cuca Martina. He's got to live up to those that kind of thing. So I just think, let's get the deal done as quickly as possible. Hopefully get 25 million for him. Don't go near El Ghazi with your barge pole, which I don't think we are anyway. No. Agents making things complicated for us as always. And we move on. Yeah. And maybe we get a couple more in.
We don't, like we said before, we're not choosing. We're not saying, sat here going, made up, he's leaving, get rid of him, he's not good enough. He's a good player, but he's not, quite clearly, he's not in the club's plans and hasn't been since the derby. You know, his performance in the derby was atrocious, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
You know, he was woeful in that game. Like you said, good player, but doesn't want to be here. The manager doesn't want him here, so you've got to move on from it very quickly. And there'll be other players who leave Everton who I'll be far more upset with about them going than what I am about Luca Digne, because we've known about it. Not come out the blue, has it? He didn't play on Saturday, did he? And the next minute he's gone to Villa the next day, and you're like, where's this come from? Do you know what I mean? We've known. It's been a case. I'd rather he went to Villa than Newcastle, to be honest with you. So good luck to him. It is what it is. He's obviously they don't get on, and he doesn't. He's obviously.
That's the problem, isn't it? The problem is that they don't get on. People are taking his side. People are looking at it like it's a bigger thing, like we've lost a player when we should be losing our manager. But if it was another manager selling him, I think a lot of people would be applauding it, and that's
especially
not me.
What's gone on, yeah.
That's not me necessarily backing Benitez. I just think if you come into a window where you need players, put it this way, right? If people had said before the window, if you have to sell one of your four main players, Pickford, Donna Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Digne, which one would you pick? I think most people would have picked Digne, with Pickford maybe second. And then if you said, right, with that money, we will replace him, and we will get that right back that everyone's been craving for, and we will have. We may be able to get two more just with the space that's been created with FFP. Not maybe big signings, but just a couple to come in and fill the squad. Surely, with everything that's been going on, people would have gone, yeah, that makes sense. I'd like to think.
Well, you can't. People will all have their own emotions about it, won't they? You can't tell people what they should think. It's just from our perspective. My perspective is I'm used to the idea he's going. So, just get it done. It's not like he might still play for us. We played the bloody right back at left back the other week when he was on the bench against Brighton. So it's not even like he's under consideration to play. He's never going to play. No. So therefore, it's becoming another unnecessary distraction. We need all the help we can get at the moment. The position we're in and the way we're playing. So get it done. Get it. I'm sure it will be this week. I'm sure they'll get it sorted. They'll want him in as quickly as possible. If he hangs on, he'll make his debut, Goodison.
I was going to say, if they drag it
with
out.
Big Phil. Another Everton target. And Gerrard on the line. Be a bit of a grudge match that day, won't it? Gerrard, Coutinho.
Might get the crowd going, though, won't it?
Might get the crowd up. You never know. So, yeah, it is what it is. In the comments, people not happy that he's going to Villa.
Okay.
You know, selling this evening's portrait, just selling to a direct rival isn't the smartest move. I hope we're not interested in El Ghazi. You know, at the end of the day, what can you do? If nobody else wants him, there's not really much you can do, is there? You know, it's great saying, well, I want him to go to another country. Well, if no teams in, you know, those countries have got the money to buy him or want to give him £160,000 a week, then, you know, your hands are tied. It's no good I'm sitting here, is it, and not getting used.
No.
So, I don't know. I think we just need to move on. Really, don't we? That's the biggest thing. We just need to move on quickly, and then we can maybe do. By moving on, we can maybe do another little bit of business this month. You know, the manager wants another 2 players. I think again at the weekend we saw we could do with another midfield player. You want more options? Look at Dean go and may create that. So onwards, off we go. 4-year, an Everton fan talks about, is the tag, says it a 4-year deal until he's 33. Imagine if we did that on those wages. Wouldn't hear the end of it. But that's it, isn't it? Is that we too often we bemoan our own clubs, you know, giving these players big contracts at the age. It's been something Everton have been very guilty of since they got the money, is giving players of a certain age big money over a few years, and then they get an injury or they fall out of form, and they're obviously starting to wane anyway because of their age.
Yeah.
You then end up stuck with them. I mean, we're about to see, you know, a fella come on at the weekend who won't move because he likes the money, and yet his contract's up at the end of the season. We want to see those. You know, Villa have got a couple. Villa give Danny Ings crazy money at 29 with a dodgy knee. You know, Luca Dean's also 20. That's the model they're going down. It's up to them, isn't it? You know, we can't preach because we've done it. So, but for us, I hope that we start to invest in younger players.
Yeah.
We saw Michalenko, like you said, at the weekend, and I hope this is a model that Everton use going forward, is that start bringing in the younger players that if they're either very good for you or you can make money on them, because it's something we've not done enough of.
Yeah, then I think for Villa, you know, they just want to get them. I suppose it's you get yourself to a level with those older players, and this is what we try to do, and then you, I suppose, try to build the young players through, and they've got an excellent academy and some good players coming through, and you have to take that hit at first. And if you've got the money and you can bypass FFP because you've got that leeway, especially if you haven't spent for a while or you've come up from the Championship, even though they have spent massively over the last couple of years.
It's only the net spend, I think, is something like 20 million less than Everton.
Yeah, so that's up to them, isn't it? But I do, you know, if it was the other way around, people would be saying, why aren't we going after the 22-year-old and why are we buying the 28-year-old? Why are we paying this kind of money? Why are we paying that kind of wages? As I said, it all comes down to the manager. It's as simple as that. People don't like the manager. They think it's a grudge. And they want rid of the manager and not rid of the left back. But the simple fact is that's not happening. And you have to just grasp that and just look at, and that's it, isn't it? Nothing's going to change that. And if you know, I just don't see the point in getting angry about it, because it's just a long list of issues, and it's, for me, it's not even an issue anymore because the replacement's in the door. So there's no point worrying about it. It is what it is.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? Gavin Cunningham says he's 29, on the decline and injury prone. and says in 18 months Aston Villa will be looking to get him off the books because of his wages. Motor Mike says he served his purpose, got well paid for it in the process. Semi-Charm Life says, greetings, fellow Blues. Will Longworth says, Aston Villa are looking scary now.
Are they though?
They just lost last week to Brentford, the mid-table. No, not looking scary in the slightest. But each to their own, people look at different things.
No, let's just say, no, they don't look scary. They look like an average Premier League team with ambitions, but they're definitely not. They're definitely not scary. They're definitely not scary.
They haven't got a
They're just an average Premier League team.
They're one of 14 Premier League teams who aren't good enough to be in the top 6. Jono said, you've said it all before, he hasn't been brilliant for over 18 months. Mitchell says it's embarrassing, but I don't know what's embarrassing. Says something about Villa. I don't know. I don't. Baz, you laughed at Bailey joining Villa. Oh, I wanted Bailey to come here, which I think I've said a million times.
Yeah, I mean.
So I'm not. Again, I don't know whether Mitchell's on one today or he's just not understanding. I don't know. Harry A says perfect price for Dean. You want obviously 40. I'd love them to pay 40 million, but I think probably 25 million is.
It's the highest. It would be the highest anyone's ever paid for him.
Yeah. So
at 28.
29 in July, isn't he? So, 28 and a half. I think 25's all right. I don't think it's not amazing, but it's okay.
But I think we are gonna see less being paid for people at this level because there's less money in the game. So if you want to shift somebody, you're gonna pay. You're gonna have to accept. Yeah, maybe a couple of years ago we would have gone, he's a £40 million player, but he's not a £40 million player anymore because he's older and because there's less teams paying him. Look at like Chelsea have come in for him and gone, well, we like the look of him, but we want him on loan with an option maybe to buy at the end of the season. With FFP, the way FFP is, the way COVID has gone, you're just not going to get those prices for these kind of players. Maybe at the high end you're still going to get it, but I just don't think, because it's not rational, is it? We want to sell, someone wants to buy. Why would we say we want 40? If we didn't want to sell for him, then he would be a £40 million player.
It's different, isn't it?
It's different, and then you'd get no takers because no one's going to pay 40 million. So you're putting, when someone says, he's just this kind of, it's because you're trying to put somebody off. So they are. If we don't want to sell Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the summer, then he's a £100 million player.
And if someone pays it,
then you go, okay, well, you called me bluff. It's this thing with the Jack Grealish thing. 100 million, and someone called the bluff.
We heard thingy say that they didn't think anyone would pay it. So they said 100 million, and then when someone pays it, what can you do? Matt Symes says saving 50 grand a week and having his replacements already, the kind of business that we've been crying out for. Yeah, listen, it's early days. Obviously, Michalenko made his debut the weekend. I thought he was fine. Thought he had a decent game. Wasn't amazing, but his numbers back up that he had a decent game. He's got to grow. He hadn't played for 6 weeks or something, or whatever it was, and hadn't trained for over 2 before the week. So he's done all right. He's got to obviously prove that he can be competent replacement for Luca Dean. The way Luca Dean had to prove he could be a competent replacement for Leighton Baines. So you've got to let these people grow into it. I guess because we haven't had much to be happy about. We're just not very good at letting players leave the club, are we?
No.
As fans, I mean, we don't.
We're terrible. We're absolutely terrible. We have this as a fan base. We do have this thing about people leaving us and it being like a
slay.
Like someone said. Then it's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. We don't want them, and someone else does, and they're prepared to pay the money. Yeah. It in other countries it happens all the time. It happens. AC Milan, Inter Milan, they're always selling to each other. Juventus and stuff, they're always selling to each other. But we find it really hard to let go of players. And sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just, you know, the worst part is when before you let them go and that idea, and then they go, and then it's like they've gone. You know, there's a build up, and then they go, and that's it. That's the end of it.
That's the way it is, isn't it?
You know, it's football. They're gonna, one way or another, Luca Dean's gonna leave Everton. What would you rather have him leave in, say, 18 months' time, when we get hardly any money for him, and he goes back to France, and maybe we get like 10 million for him or something, and people go, that wasn't a very good 18 months, or do you go, well, let's just get rid of him now, and he becomes someone else's problem? Yes, he's a good player. We know he's a good player, but we've already bought his replacement, and it happens in football all the time, and it will continue to happen. And I actually think it'll happen more as we go into the future. I think player trading will become more and more in the short term, not the long term. I mean, Jesus, if you go in the lower leagues now, players sign 1-year contracts. 1 year you can have a completely different team from the team you had the year before now, and I don't ever expect that to happen. But it's getting harder and harder, and as squads, 9 subs and all the rest of it, and you're allowed 5 on the pitch, players are going to be more and more tempted to move around and find their... You've seen it with the younger players where they're saying now 16, 17, I'm going to go and play somewhere, whether it be Germany or whatever. People are just not accepting now of, I'll sit on the bench at that club when I could be at that club playing, because it's a short career. So I think people just have to get used to this idea, because players will leave. Of course they will.
James says Villa making the same mistakes as us, spending big money, offering big wages to players that are 28 plus. Ings another example. Villa will suffer FFP, that they're not in Europe. But they've got money at the moment because they sold Grealish, haven't they? But they've spent heavily since they got promoted. So they know that they're looking at different ways. They want a Patterson apparently, but the money, they've had to set money aside for different things. Obviously, they believe the left back's more important than the right back. So, Jonathan Ricketts says centre midfield and centre back more important than the striker. We have Sims, Dobbin. You can do better. Rondon. Damien Hagan says, would you not say selling an aging left back to get 2 young players in that are hungry with a point to prove, and players to come in, some go out, just how it is. That's it, isn't it? It's the thing is, these things are going to happen. Everton are going to lose players. Richarlison's probably going to leave. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's probably going to leave. It's what you do with the money when you get it in. If Everton have got 20, if they get 25 million for Dean, like you said before, they've got a left back and a right back for that.
I seen someone say yesterday that Dean's book value is 8 million. So in terms of FFP, we'd be making 17 million on FFP, which would be a huge amount if that's true. That would be a huge amount. Yeah. So
I was just doing basic, like he's gone for 25.
No, I'm just saying in terms of FFP. In terms of FFP, if his book value is 8 million quid and we get 25 for him, that's big, huge. Yeah. That's in terms of when they work an FFP out, that's a big margin, especially if we've paid or we've put down in the book that Michaelenko, over 5 years, and Patterson, and that's a really big,
Martin and Big Nozzer asking what the fee is. Well, it's reportedly 25 million. So
it's not agreed yet, though. Apparently,
it hasn't been agreed. So
it's just the personal terms.
Kevin McKenna says it's good business. It's what we should be doing all the time. Paul Corrigan says, hello, boys. I'd stick toasting in the Gladys Street bar. The service is slow anyway. She'll fit right in. I mean, we've moved on, haven't we? Yeah. There you go. I mean, there is a lot of people saying it's good business. We've got to do. TP says, lads, let's be honest, everyone raving on about Villa. They just signed a washed-up Coutinho and a 28-year-old who's been out of form for 18 months. They've got some good players, but they're not amazing. The league position shows you they're not amazing whatsoever. And I'd seen someone say, they'd be a couple of places higher if they hadn't had the injuries. Well, I guarantee you Everton would be a lot higher if they hadn't had the injuries. So you can't use the injuries as an excuse for some teams, but rip our own team.
You don't have to even play now.
Exactly.
If you've got injuries.
Exactly.
This new rule's fantastic.
Oh, it's boss.
We should go back. and go back to the beginning
and
of the
go,
season.
hang on, we've got injuries, we can't play. We'll have all the defeats, have them taken off us, because apparently it's all you have to do. Where are we here? GM saying, got to admit it's good to see Everton being left in the shadows, still talking about selling Dom Ritchie now as well. Well, it's just the links, isn't it? You're going to talk about it, because inevitably, unless we do the business, they will go, won't they? It's how you replace them. Every team sells players. Every team. Where are we? Chris says, shoe on the other foot, will we be fuming if we were spending 25 to 30 million on a 29-year-old left back? We would. Our
If we
fans
were
would be livid.
put it this way, if we're in the position we are right now, we would be. We'd be asking the question, why are we doing
and 160 grand a week.
We'd be asking the question, why are we doing that? And we did it in a way, but we did it with James Rodriguez, who was one of the best players in the world. And we didn't pay anything for him. We gave him massive wages. So if it's someone like James Rodriguez, you can get excited, but that kind of deal is not sustainable if you haven't got money coming in. And listen, and by the way, I'm not having a go at Villa. That's what they can do, whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. Yeah. And they might have a brilliant plan. We didn't have a brilliant plan, but you can't bring players in for massive wages now if you haven't got something coming in the door. And we didn't have anything coming in the door, and we still don't have anything coming through the door. We haven't got European football. Obviously, COVID in the last few years, a couple of years, has hit us really hard. When the accounts come out, they're going to look terrifying. They're going to look terrifying. The club can obviously push COVID because obviously there was no football last season, so that's fair enough. So you've got to, and that was the lesson of the James Rodriguez deal was. And I'm not necessarily comparing the two, but the outlay, what they're going to put into Digne is going to be more than what we put into James Rodriguez. You've got to have some kind of success. You've got to try and get European football, and there are other ways to do it.
Well, scary Villa are 3 points ahead of Everton. Everton have got a game in hand, so that's how frightening Villa are looking. 11 points behind. Bang average Tottenham Hotspur. What do you think of the David Neres stuff? Linked with him again. Can't get in the Ajax side. He's sub basically for Ajax, but talented.
I don't know if there's anything there. Is there anything there? I mean,
it's linked with him.
He was supposed to go to Russia, wasn't he? But that never happened. This was a player we were linked with 2018, weren't we? Quite heavily. 2019.
19 was the one.
I don't know. I think if you're going to bring a... See, when I was looking at this on Saturday, and I was looking at the forward positions, and I was thinking, well, right, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you've got Richarlison, hold on. You've got a young player like Dobbin coming through. Sims, I don't think will ever make it at Everton. I think, but if he can go on loan somewhere, that'd be great. Derby County being talked about. Then you've got Gray. Then you've got Gordon starting to look like a real first team squad player. Then you've got Townsend for something a little bit different. For your forward position, let's say you got 4 players there, 4 positions. That's not terrible. Okay, I would probably like another centre forward. Do we really need another winger? When I'm looking at the back 4 or 5 going, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we need a centre back.
We look at the back frightening. Like, individually, you look at them and you go, yeah, they're not. But as a unit, there's no joined up thinking it as a unit. And we have to go back to a 4. It has to be 4-3-3. That's the way we have to play. So we probably need a holding midfielder who'll just sit in front of that back 4 and we'll just be protection. But we've got to get a centre-back who is just, rant and rave and talk and whatever all day long. I seen a little bit a little bit, not much. Seen a little bit of the West Ham game yesterday, and
Boring.
the lad they've got at the back is better than all our centre. What's his name?
If you saw Leeds or West Ham.
West Ham?
Dia.
No. Do the fella. What's his name? No.
Freshfield.
No, he's not a centre back, is he?
No, only just injured.
I'll tell you now.
Can't remember what's it. No one need.
Craig Dawson.
Oh.
No. I'm not saying sign Craig Dawson. No. I'm saying Craig Dawson is better than all our centre backs. But he is though. But he is. He organises. He heads everything away.
He had 3. Dan James missed 3 sitters because he didn't know where he was.
No, but he is. He is a typical Moyes.
They were too poor.
He is a typical Moyes signing who's gone in and organised their back line. I know he wouldn't be playing if the other lads weren't playing. But I'm watching it thinking, that's what we...
I was talking to the Piv about this the other day. There's just not many around.
No,
that's
there
the
aren't.
problem. You're looking around and going, well, who do you get? You know, who can we go and get? Like, we've been linked with Lloyd Kelly. I like Lloyd Kelly, left-footed centre-off. He's young. You know, the young lad. He's good on the ball. Then you're looking for an organiser. Centre-backs, so there's not many. Cody, but he plays in a 3, and you wouldn't get him out of Wolves.
But he's the kind of player. That's what I'm just saying, these are the kind of players that we don't have at the club, that we could desperately need.
We have no ranter and ravers. Michael Keane is just like a timid, kid playing. Ben Godfrey is worrying about his own game because he's just trying to learn his position. James Coleman's not a centre-back. I wouldn't have a go with him there because he's not a centre-back. We've got Yerry Mina is the best one we've got, and yet he's never fit. And Jared Brantwaite looks like a real, thing. And it was interesting. Benitez said he would have started against Brighton had he been fit. But then he ready to throw Brantwaite.
But that's the point, isn't it? That's what I'm saying. No, we need. If you're talking about actually buying experience, that's what we need. Like a 26, 27-year-old centre-back who could go in there. Who could go in there for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. And, I mean, if I was going to buy short-term, that's the only position I'd buy short-term in. And when I say short-term, I mean 2 or 3 years. A centre-back who could go in and organise our back line. Because I don't actually think... we need better all over the pitch, of course we do. But that to me is the most pressing position. Because I look at the game on Saturday, and of course we're going to do the final word live on Patreon in a little bit. And I just look at it and I just think, if we could just be organised at the back and cut out, like, not when people say mistakes, people think you look at mistakes and go when someone just booted the ball out straight to their player, but defensive mistakes like not having a solid line, leaving space in behind,
it's too easy to score against.
That's it. So for me, we've got to go all out to get somebody in. And maybe put all our eggs in one basket, because I think the other end of the pitch will take care of itself. Because I do think we've got. We'll put it this way. I don't think we're in the market for anyone to come in and make a real difference. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's. I think Nere. Well, like, you know what I mean? Like Tottenham now are getting rid of Beerman, aren't they? So there's, he was going to, come in from Holland, and he was going to be in it. He hasn't got the pace or the power to live up to it, and I look at that and I just think, I'm not saying they're great, but I know where we need to sort ourselves out.
The centre back and centre mid are two big positions that we need to fill.
Definitely.
Lee Gray says, don't get how you're both happy Dean's going. The manager should be gone before him and will be gone in a month or so, and we've lost the left back we didn't want to lose. Neither of us are happy he's going. We've said that. But we accept the situation. Luca Dean doesn't want to play for Everton. Forget about Rafa Benitez. The player doesn't want to play for Everton. So you have to accept that and let him go.
It's done, isn't it?
You think Benitez will be gone in a month? Maybe you'll be right. Maybe you'll be wrong. People told me he'd be gone in October, and it's January. He's still here. So, and they're giving him money. So... I don't know. I couldn't sit here and tell you he will be Everton's manager next month, because I honestly don't know. I think if he lose on Saturday, I'd chase him. Definitely. But I'm not the owner of the football club.
But he's got 2 games. As far as I'm concerned, he's got 2 games now, because there's an international break at the end of the month, and I think that international break is a lovely period or opportunity to swap the manager out.
So that you have to see what he does. But if Luca Digne wanted to play for Everton, he'd just get his head down, wouldn't he? And he'd be thinking, if he was intelligent enough, he'd be looking and thinking, well, this fella might go then, so I'm not going to do anything rash. But he doesn't want to play for Everton. So it's not a case of like people are going, I'll keep Rafa and get rid of Digne. It's not that. It's a case of looking at the situation and going, he doesn't want to be here, quite clearly. So let him go and make the most money we can from it. That's what we're saying. No point letting stuff drag on, is it? We've got a left back now. They paid money for him. We move on. That's the way it is. Like last couple, Jason Smart says we definitely need a few more Schneiders in the team. Ellis says massive shame he couldn't keep hold of Zuma. Being exactly what we linked, exactly what we needed at the time when we linked. Alexander said, "What did you think of Gabaman when he came on the weekend?" I thought he was fine.
I thought he was all right.
I still
worry about his mobility, but maybe in a 3, sitting in front of the back 4, maybe he could be that player. I don't know whether the manager thinks in that way. No, I think he needs more games of football. 100% needs more games of football.
In the world of assists, he got an assist. In the world of shows how ridiculous assists.
Yeah, in the world of things beginning with X.
Well, it was the thing, wasn't it? I mean, Zuma famously got one for that goal.
He did.
Leicester from about 50 yards.
No, listen.
I thought he was fine.
I don't think you can judge him good or bad on a period of extra time when the team we looked like we had about 14 centre midfielders on the pitch by the time he came on. I don't think you can really judge him in that time. I thought he didn't do anything wrong. It was what it was. I'd like to see him get a run of games, but I don't think that's going to happen at Everton.
No.
I think I'd like to see him go on loan somewhere, play 25 times, and come back next season.
See what's what.
And then just see where he is. I just think it's like he's just, you look at him and you think, can you get round the pitch? Or is it more that you don't quite know where to be because you haven't played your timings at all off?
Yeah,
I think games of football
does that, yeah,
will do that.
Well, I think you'd have to put him in a 3, definitely.
I think we have to play 3 anyway.
Oh, well, we have to anyway, yeah.
We get outnumbered in every game.
There's no thingy. Paul says, I don't know how you feel, lads, but I welcome what Benitez is doing so far in the transfer market and agree with all the business, including Dean. But I still think he's an awful manager and one of them. It is. I said this to my dad at the weekend. I might have said this to you as well. It's like everything he's doing and saying all sounds correct and all sounds like, yeah, they need to do that. We do need to do that. We do need to do that. And then I watch us play football and I think, what are you doing? And I don't fully buy into the fact that set of players are terrible, because I don't believe they are. So I do think if someone else was on the touchline taking the team, we will play better. So I don't know what's happening, because off the pitch, everything he says, and I'm not, the Dean thing, put it to one side for a minute. The other stuff and demands and trying to bring young players in, I agree with. But then I see our players kick off.
Director of football.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we should give him, the director of football. Right, let's leave it there. We're about to go and do the final word. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll be back tomorrow. See what.
But we'll be back at 5 o'clock. If you're a patron, why aren't you a patron? Come and be a patron. Get live exclusive shows. We'll be back. We'll be doing the final word 2:30 live on Patreon, and then at 5 o'clock we'll be doing the final. We'll be doing live at 5 again from these very seats. I'm hoping it'll be a little bit warmer because I feel freezing.
My toes are freezing.
There you go. So we'll catch you then. See you later.
See you later.